What's your philosophy on portfolio diversification across asset classes, geography, and strategy? What is your philosophy across those three domains?
Asset classes. Say the next one.
Asset classes, geography, and strategy. I'll write it down so you can remember and we can come back to
You
them.
need to go in order. The order of importance is super important. So are they all necessary? Yes. In my opinion, it is necessary. However, it's kind of like making a sandwich. If you just have 3 ingredients, this is going to be the plainest, most disgusting, boring sandwich ever. Oh, no, let's switch it up. BLT, bacon, lettuce, tomato. No, that's even still too no. We're going to go back to my original one. All you have is bread, ham, and mayonnaise. That's it. I told you. It's going to be super lame and disgusting. I'm gagging right now just thinking about this. But if you are building a sandwich and you only had those 3 ingredients, which one are you picking up first? There's
Obviously,
only one right answer. Obviously, the bread. You are dumb if you pick up anything other than the bread. You're going to have to pick up the bread first. You put the bread down, and then which one do you put on? There's only one right answer, unless you're like you got a little bit of I don't know how politically correct YouTube needs me to be. My wife tells me that I've got the tism, and so that's what I was gonna say. Like you should put the mayonnaise on the bread. Okay, so like mayonnaise is the next logical thing to put on the bread, and then you put your meat down. You don't do, unless you're going to squirt mayonnaise on meat, which is a little bit weird. You should put the meat down, number 2, and then mayonnaise is number 3, and then you eat your sandwich. If you pick up the bread first, you're good. If you pick up either the meat or the mayonnaise first, I don't know, like you're just going to make a mess in your kitchen.
What if it goes like ham, bread, mayonnaise, ham?
No, that's super weird.
Okay.
That's really gross. I hope you wash your hands. So the first thing that I think is really important. So asset class diversification is absolutely last, and that's a very, very easy call for me because there's so much to learn. You can't be going, oh, I'm going to do commercial deals and single family and multifamily. Like, what are you going to learn first? Are you going to learn deal analysis? Or are you going to learn freaking cash on cash return? Or are we going to go triple net leases? Or are we dealing with commercial brokers? You may as well start buying businesses while you're at it because it's pretty similar. That is absolutely last. And truthfully, it's not last. There's a whole other one outside of that, which would be like getting into cryptocurrency and the stock market and mutual funds and insurance, like life insurance policies, things like this. And I would argue that those can be interchanged. So I think that as you get more advanced, I have chosen to stay within the single family realm. I dabble in multifamily. I dabble in commercial. By no means is it my bread and butter. However, I would reckon to say I'm pretty educated when it comes to life insurance policies. I'm pretty educated when it comes to cryptocurrency. I'm pretty educated when it comes to stock market and mutual funds. I enjoy that. Precious metal, silver and gold. I love this as well. So those are different asset classes as well, like completely outside of real estate. And I think to each his own. I think that you do need to diversify. I think that it's better to diversify into precious metals and cryptocurrency and cash and life insurance policies rather than getting into multifamily or commercial deals. But I'm certain that a whole bunch of people would argue that their way is right and they would say go to commercial. I don't really think that it matters. However, I do think that it's important that you learn different deal structures first. And I think that you talked about geography as well. That definitely can come second. Not to be mistaken, our last episode, we were talking about doing things virtually. I think that you need to invest where it makes sense. But that's just talking about one metro. Then diversifying those metros into 6 metros or 12 metros. That's what I'm really talking about here. So that's step 2. Step 1, absolutely unequivocally, this is the way, is structuring deals differently. If you are a one-trick pony, I will wreck you. If we're going head to head, and I don't really care what your poison of choice is. I don't know the term that I'm trying to come up with, but like if you like wholesaling, or if you like fix and flip, or if you like BRRRR or whatever, that if you only do one thing and you're like, you need to get really good at one thing. Okay, I do agree that you do need to get really good at the thing that you choose. However, you shouldn't stick with that. Here's my analogy. You have a whole body in front of you. Let's pretend like the only thing that I worked out was my arms. I realize that I'm going to offend a whole bunch of men who are listening to this, but you look dumb. You are worthless in a fight. If your baby gets kidnapped, you cannot do anything. Like you gotta have a strong back. You have to have a strong core. You need to be working out those calves, sucker. Like we have to exercise all these things. I'm not saying don't get really good at your biceps. I'm not saying not even put an emphasis. Go ahead, do them curls for the girls. Absolutely, I'm all for that. However, don't let other things lack just because you want to be what's the word that I'm looking for? An expert in this one thing. It's actually a good thing to grow, believe it or not. So when you become an expert in one thing, you should become an expert in another thing. Because if you get stuck with one, let's pretend, for example, that somebody got really, really good at renting out their DVDs. That was their business model. I'm not saying that any person or company ever got really good at renting out DVDs, but I'm just suggesting that if they did, they might not be doing too well right now with Amazon and Netflix and Hulu and all those things.
We all remember Blockbuster.
Similar thing is if you have a newspaper printing agency, you might be you have the best printers, you have the best people on the phones, you have the best network, you have the best, golly, you're just crushing it. You're really good at that one thing. Might I suggest you're not doing too hot right now? You might even be out of business, right? So the point is life moves on and markets are cyclical. So as things evolve, imagine people who are really, really great on the phone and the only thing that they're good at is being on the phone. Then Zoom comes along. Nah, I don't need that new thing. Actually, Zoom calls have a higher close rate for salespeople than phone calls.
By how much?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that anybody knows. I think that if anybody told you a statistic right now, they might be pulling numbers out of their butt, but I don't know if there's actually a really well documented actual study of sales calls. But what I will tell you is when you can see the nonverbal communication, 80% of our communication is nonverbal. How I say it, what is my facial expression, what does my body language say, what are my hands doing as I'm talking, where do I look, so on and so forth. More than 80% of what I'm conveying is nonverbal. Only 20% is my actual words. So you add that element with Zoom, communication gets better. When communication gets better, more sales happen because emotion occurs. More emotion happens. Now, let's bring it back. I've given all 3 or 4 analogies at this point. So if you are really good at fix and flipping, that's wonderful when the market is attuned to fix and flipping. How y'all doing right now in today's market? How have you been in 2025? How was it in 2024 for you? Yeah, not well. And I can say that unequivocally. I was just at a conference in Orlando, Florida with 128 other real estate investing coaches, all of whom invest in real estate themselves. And they have communities with hundreds, if not thousands of people. And guess what? Everybody's on the struggle bus because the market right now sucks. And if you think that you're special, just wait. The market will come, right? It's all cyclical. What's crushing it right now? Well, people who are buying rentals, they're doing pretty good. people who are doing novations, who have switched a little bit from wholesaling to novations. They're doing pretty good. There's other strategies that are more suited for the market cycle that you're in, like the majority of the time, 80% of the time, if you will. And the more you know, the more yeses you can get, the more people you can help, the more deals you can do, the more money you can make. If you lock yourself into, I'm going to be the best at fill in the blank, wholesaling in Scott. I have a person that I'm thinking of right now. I'm going to be the best wholesaler in Scottsdale, Arizona. Congratulations. There will come a time when something happens to either wholesaling, Scottsdale, Arizona, or that person's life, and they won't be able to do that thing anymore. And so I'm not saying don't be excellent at what you do. Definitely pick a lane, stick to it, and be exceptionally good at that one thing. But with deal structure, I think that as soon as you learn one, you should learn the next one. So this is synonymous to people saying, well, most millionaires have 8 streams. I think the average, I don't remember go Google this. And also don't believe everything that you see on Google. But I once saw that most millionaires, or the average millionaire, has 8 streams of income. All right, I believe that. That checks out, probably. Like, I have nearly that many. That said, dude, don't start trying to get 8. Just do 1 and get really freaking good at that 1 and systemize it as much as you can and delegate as much as you can and automate as much as you can. Then move on to the next one. And then do the same thing. Systemize, automate, delegate. Then move on. Same thing. Systemize, automate, delegate. Same freaking process over and over and over. Until you solidify it, you shouldn't move on. You don't rate to move on. So same thing here with deal structure. Get really good and then move on to the next. Get really good, then move on to the next. That's the first thing, is your deal structure needs to be, I wouldn't even consider this diversification, Dayton. Because diversification is indicative of safety. Like it's the safety net. Like if this thing goes good or bad, then something else is going to offset it. I would do it as like more, I'm a fisherman. I was just fishing over the weekend. So like, it's like more lines in the water. It's the same bait, it's the same hooks, it's the same lines, it's the same rods and reels, it's the same freaking fish, it's the same pond, it's the same weather, it's the same time of day, it's the same everything. Everything's the same. It's just like one thing is different. Maybe it's not the same bait. Maybe I do have different bait. Maybe it's just the location. I'm casting this one out near the pier, and I'm casting this one out near that tree over there. 2 totally different sides of the lake. Just one of them is angled left, one of them is angled right. And because it's a different spot, perfect. Let's talk about, now we're talking about the diversification of location, which was the second thing on my list. Once you know, all right, this fish over here, I'm raking in the fish over here with this one pole. Now maybe you can add a second pole over there. Never stop doing what works. This is rule number 4 in business. Never stop doing what works. And so if something is working, don't get shiny object syndrome and reallocate funds from something that was working to something that is a question mark. Keep your budget over here so that you have the safety net. That is the safety net, is this thing that we know that is working. And then go ahead and try something that you believe the data is showing you would be better in this area. So that's that would be the next thing, is once I have this metro, that's what I did. I started off in 1 metropolitan city, and I got good at that 1 metropolitan city, and then I went to 33. That's a big jump. I know, I'm a little bit crazy, but I went from 1 to 33, and from 33 I went to 66, and from 66 I went to 120, from 120 I went to 250, from 250 I went to 380. And then I said, all right, and now we're doing like a lot of deals every single month. We were on average contracting, I think, 12 properties per month. And
oh wow,
some of them, as soon as we started falling to like the 60% contract to close ratio, I was like, man, this isn't super healthy. I don't like that we're defaulting, if you will. We were pulling out of properties because they were just in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't get them sold. And it seemed really risky for me. There wasn't a lot of people who lived there. The days on market was a little bit high. It was difficult to get repairs because it was in the sticks, like population 5,000 type of thing. And it's like 50 miles from the nearest metro. So if I need an HVAC guy, I have to have somebody drive like an hour and a half to go just do simple stuff. It was risky for me to take it on, and I couldn't get it wholesaled, and I didn't want to wrap it or anything like that. So we would pull out, and I felt guilty about that. And I felt like I was wasting my team's time, only closing on like 60% of our houses. So then we retracted. I said, hey, 380 is too much. And we went down to 305. And we sat at 305 metropolitan cities for a long time, a long time, many years, three years, I think. And then we got really good at what we were doing, and I started to get super clear on what I liked doing. So now I was no longer doing it for the money, but I was also doing it for the enjoyment. So then we went from 305 down to 100 and I don't remember if it was like 122 or something like that. It was roughly 120, 125. And that's where we're sitting right now. Now I'm just like, everything is, I mean, I've got everything that I need. I've got the title company, I've got the lender, I've got the realtor, I've got the contractor, I've got everything lined up because we've done deals in these areas. So it just makes things way, way easier. That's the second thing, diversification through the map, through your location. And then you get into asset class diversification. Do we want to get into multifamily? Do we want to get into commercial? Or do we want to get into precious metal, cryptocurrency, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, EFTs, that sort of thing, life insurance?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense what you said there. From what I originally thought of when I looked at the question I was going to ask you, my first impression was surely it was going to be asset class first, and then
really?
strategy, and then geo. Yeah, I genuinely thought it was going to be that first. So I'm glad you gave such a detailed response to that. I really like that.
Good.
So going back to the topic of rentals that you were talking about, I think it was last episode or just now that you're talking about rentals doing good in the market.
Yeah, this one.
This one, yeah. So, medium-term rentals. Is that a sweet spot between short-term volatility and long-term stability, or is it just a trend?
Dang, whoever asked this question is really, that's a good question. I don't think that it's a trend. And I say that because most of the time when we're looking at a midterm rental, we're looking at trades, like skills. So like who are we housing? Well, typically we're housing contractors, like people who are heavy machinery workers, or they're pouring concrete, or they're electricians or whatever. So there's these big infrastructure plants that are going in all over the U.S. right now. There's several in Texas, there's several in Ohio, there's several in New York, where there's one in Tennessee, there's one here in Florida, where it's like the government is pumping billions of dollars, at least $5 billion is like the minimum of, hey, something big is happening in America, when the government is allocating funds to this thing. So resources are going there, and I think that that's always going to happen. So long as America continues to be the best country in the world, with like funding of the betterment of the country is going to continue. Another thing that we see often is, again, a trade thing, is nurses. there's a lot of travel nurses that will stay in one location for, they'll have a 4-month term or a 6-month term. Typically, it's not going to be a 12-month term, because now we're getting into long-term rental type of deal where it's going to be 12 months or longer. So is nurses going to go away? No, nurses are not going to go away. What about like health insurance? Because really, at the end of the day, nursing is fueled. Follow the money, right? Who pays the nurses? Well, the insurance companies. Health insurance is one of the biggest frauds in all of America, by the way. Sorry if you work in that industry. I don't believe in it at all. Nonetheless, that's where the money is. So is it going anywhere? I don't think so. Therefore, travel nurses are going to be a thing. Those are like really big industries. And the longer I go listing trades for midterms, the more I can confidently say it's definitely not a trend. Is it a sweet spot? I don't think so. I don't think that it's a sweet spot at all, unless you are uniquely situated for midterm rentals. For example, I have a client, great friend of mine, 2 ladies. It's a mother-daughter powerhouse couple from Hawaii. She specifically provides housing for government contractors supporting the military. Midterm. It's perfect.
Okay.
She is uniquely situated, meaning like she lives in Hawaii. The Air Force is there, the Navy is there, the Marine Corps is there, the Army is, everybody is there. So, and also the population is 1.2 million, I believe, 1.2 million on the island of Oahu. How much of that is military? I think it's like 300,000. So that's a large percentage of a small population that has a huge budget. Huge budget. Think about this. Well, I don't want to get into the middle of it, actually. Just realize that the reason why the 50th state, which is Hawaii, is owned by America is so that we can control the Pacific Theater, which is the Pacific Ocean, from countries that we don't like. So there's a lot of money going to it. And when the military needs something in Hawaii, the military gets something in Hawaii, regardless of branch agnostic. So she is so perfect at this because she's been doing real estate for like 40 years. And she has catered towards the military in a commercial aspect. Like, she was never in the military, but her friends are, her connections are, her everything is, her family is, she's very well connected. And so it just like totally makes sense for her. Like, she's the best person on the whole island. And I can say that confidently. She's the best person to do this on the whole island. Should she go outside midterm rentals? Heck no. She's doing well. That said, do I think that short-term rentals is a sweet spot? No, definitely not. I think that maybe, we were talking about like blending, different exit strategies, different locations, different asset classes. So like the definition of, if you were to like actually look at the Webster definition of diversification, it would be the opposite of optimization. Diversification is doing multiple things to spread out risk, whereas optimization would be stripping out the things that are not working as well as the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
These are both important. And I really do think that you should spend your entire life balancing those two things. I so will die on the hill that there is no right or wrong way to do anything in real estate. It's just right or left. And what's right for you may be wrong for me. And what's right for you right now may be wrong for you next year. Because seasons change, the market changes, your life changes, your risk changes, your net worth changes, like your opportunities change, everything changes. And so it's kind of like a balancing act. If you ever watch somebody who's balancing on a tightrope, Are they stationary or are they moving? They're constantly moving. We need to be constantly moving in a state of flow through our business, shifting things around, moving things around, changing our strategy. It's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Right? You're keeping up with the times. And so potentially switching from only, let's say that somebody's only doing long term. Go ahead and add a midterm. Never stop doing what works, but maybe you diversify. And if that thing sucks, then optimize, meaning cut it out. Go back to long term, or get rid of that one unit and try something different in a different place, or keep that unit but try a different marketing strategy, whatever it is. Maybe add a short-term rentals. Oh, now I want to do Airbnb. Now I want to do VRBO. Now I want to get really niche and have a specific spot on the river in San Antonio, or I want to have a amazing little bungalow on the North Shore of Oahu, or I want to have a Disney complex in Kissimmee here in Florida. It's like we can diversify and make it really good. So it's like optimization, even though we added something. We added something that was even better. Is it maybe adding more risk though? It could be. Your question is, so the longer I sit here and even as I'm talking, that's a really difficult question. I don't think that I'm very opinionated on anything other than it's not a sweet spot.
Noted. I think that's probably one of the questions that I've stumped you with the most. I know I've asked some pretty good questions for you, but you never sat there like, huh. Yeah. I wonder if this is actually where it should go.
I have a soft spot in my heart for each one of them. Like, I've done all three of them. And so I really like the stability of long-term rentals. I really like the cash flow of short-term rentals. And does the midterm rentals kind of have like some of the benefits of short, some of the benefits of long? Yes, it does have a higher cash flow than a long-term rental, but it has more stability of a short-term rental. But then it's not two-dimensional. It's not an X and Y axis. It's an X, Y, and Z axis. It's three-dimensional. You're actually adding an additional layer of risk, which is niche specific. Am I going to cater to like literally this is a thing that one of our clients does? Do I cater to dog trainers? Do I cater to government professionals? Do I cater to traveling nurses? Do I cater to construction workers? Do I cater to x-ray technicians? Do I cater to we have one guy who does recruiting placement, and he has a contract, and it's a 6-month contract with these folks, and every 6 months he's just getting different contracts with different these are bigger companies, like large businesses that have 1,000 people or whatever, and he's like a headhunter, and he places people and gets housing, and so it's a 6-month thing. So again, I could keep on listing all of these out, but they're all very niche, and that in itself is a layer of risk, not security. And it's complexity as well. It's additional things that you need to get kind of spun up on.
Yeah, for sure. The more niche you go, like there is the saying, the riches are in the niches, but it really depends on the niche, because one of the things you learn in copywriting marketing, I know I've gone through one of the best copywriting courses, or one of the courses by one of the best copywriters in the world, was what he said was, you have to research the market, and if the niche is so small, there's barely anything or anyone for it, then it's a very bad idea.
Yeah.
So when it comes to real estate, and everyone listening, the riches might not be in the niches. So take that with a word of caution, that you need to do your market research. Even just go and Google the niche or strategy you are considering. If there are like less than 1 million Google searches for it, or like 500,000, probably not a good idea to start. So you can always use Google as an indicator for market interest and excuse me, market interest and willingness to buy. So that's just a little tip you
Good
can
word.
do there. Keith,
Good
you've been
word.
awesome. Another podcast
Thanks,
in
brother.
the
So
books. Oh yeah.
On to the next one. Thanks y'all for listening. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll see you in the next episode.
That's a wrap on this episode of the First Deal podcast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on so you never miss an episode. We drop new content regularly, and every single one is built to move the needle forward for you. In fact, you can usually find that content right here. That's all for now. We'll see you on the next one, my friends.